Hello everyone, my name is Jimmy and welcome to The Last Lap, where we give you guys everything NASCAR related you need to know, whether it's news, previews of races, reviews, predictions, everything you guys need to know about the sport of NASCAR. We have it for you. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really does go a long way. Helps the channel grow, helps us reach new people. And outside of YouTube, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at The Last Lap News. We are on Twitter and Instagram there, and we provide a lot of updates on there throughout the week, and I'm usually run the Twitter account, and I'm pretty active throughout the race, so make sure to check us out there as well. We're going to be reviewing all of the action that happened at Richmond Raceway this past weekend. It was the Truck and the Cup Series there. Matthew and I usually go. Oh, by the way, Matthew's on the show as always. We got him. And him and I usually go to the Richmond races, or at least we've been going for a while, but unfortunately we couldn't go this year due to COVID and all of that, so it was cool to watch it on TV for once for myself. But we got Matthew on the show. How you doing today?
It's interesting race. Now it's 2020 2.0 once again for Rowdy Nation, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But then it's been a long, stressful day for me as I've been continuing in my studies for my end of the semester here at college, and it's been stressful. So I'm definitely really exhausted right now. And I'm gonna be exhausted the next couple of days with all the stuff I gotta do.
Yep, we are on the home stretch for college, and we cannot wait for summer to come so we can do jobs and internships and whatever else the summer has in store for us. But we're going to go ahead and hop right into the action that happened at Richmond. The truck race was first. That was on Saturday. This was the second time that the Truck Series has raced at Richmond, at least in a while, because before last year, they haven't raced there since 2005 or 2006, so this was the second race for the trucks at Richmond since then, and Grant Enfinger, who I said would be strong, he definitely was. He won the first stage, and then stage 2, John Hunter Nemechek ended up winning that. It was interesting because John Hunter Nemechek and Kyle Busch started a little bit further back in the field and eventually made their way up through the field. Like I said, the Thor Sport trucks, Ben Rhodes and Grant Enfinger were very dominant early, but those two KBM trucks came through the field relatively quick. John Hunter Nemechek would win the second stage. The first two stages were relatively calm, and the third stage was crazy. Like, in the last 100 laps, I would say there were at least 7 to 10 cautions in the last 100 laps. I don't know what it was. The drivers just, I don't know, they just couldn't get going, and they would wreck every few laps, and a bunch of restarts would come up and all of that, so not really sure why there were a bunch of cautions there in the last 100 laps or so, but there was a mix of pit strategy with about 50 laps to go. John Hunter Nemechek and Kyle Busch pitted, and several trucks stayed out, which made it interesting for them to have to make their way back through the field. But eventually John Hunter Nemechek would make his way back up through the field, and Kyle Busch tried to get to John Hunter Nemechek's back bumper heading into the third corner on the final lap, but John Hunter Nemechek would hold on to win at Richmond for his second win of the season, definitely making KBM look strong. They've won the past 4 races. John Hunter Nemechek with 2, Kyle Busch with 1, and Martin Truex Jr. at the dirt race at Bristol. So, Matthew, what's your thoughts on John Hunter Nemechek getting the win and him looking very strong to start off this season for the Truck Series?
Well, I'm just happy to see Kyle Busch Motorsports back where they used to be, dominant and having really good drivers getting the job done, being up front most of the time. We didn't really have that going on the past couple of years. Like, it was just Kyle Busch winning, basically, and one of them, like, winning one and then just disappearing. But, yeah, it's so nice to have a full-time KBM driver winning multiple races again. It's been a long time since, like, Christopher Bell, I feel like. Well, I mean, Noah Gragson did win a couple races, but it wasn't the same season. It was just one and one. But But it's nice to I think Kyle Busch have made a perfect decision to put John Hunter Nemechek in this ride. This is probably John Hunter Nemechek's best equipment he's ever been in any series. I know Xfinity series, he was with Ganassi part-time, but, I mean, it's not as good as Gibbs equipment or, like, Junior Motorsports equipment, but it was decent. And Cup Series, we all know he was in front row, and that didn't really go well at all. Like Anthony Alfredo's going through right now in that ride, but yeah, this is definitely the best ride that Hunter Nemechek has. Chandler Smith also led some laps too in the 18 truck, which he definitely needed because he hasn't had a good start at all. And it's nice to see him leading laps and having KBM 1-2-3 at one point. But once again, KBM finishes 1-2, but surprisingly, it's not the boss man being the winner. Well, I mean, Kyle Busch doesn't really mind that because he wins either way. He can win as a driver and an owner, or he can win as an owner. I mean, he's still paying the bills on these cars, so whoever his truck wins, he's still happy about it. But and also got a point for the fantasy standings. I got another point from that since I chose him. I even let him have Kyle Busch, and well, you know, I still was able to give him my points still. But yeah, other than that, it was a good race. The only interesting part I remember was the payback between the 37th to the 38th place car, which was the most random thing I've seen this season, the Truck Series. I mean, you're like 37th, 38th place, and you're taking each other out. What's that going to do? What good did that come out of it being 6 laps down every race? But other than that, it was a pretty good race for the truck race.
We're going to move on to the Cup Series race that was on Sunday. And just like a normal Richmond race, it was relatively smooth. Not a whole lot of cautions. That's just how Richmond is. I saw a tweet from somebody saying, like, they call it the action track, but there were barely any cautions, so why are we calling it the action track? But anyways, I thought it was interesting to see them race in the daytime. I feel like the racing's a little bit better in the daytime than at night, even though personally, like, I like night races better. I think the racing at Richmond is a little bit better in the daytime. So just to go ahead and start off recapping the race for you guys, there was a competition caution, as always, for the Cup Series early in Stage 1. And speaking of Stage 1, Denny Hamlin would go on to win that. And you could obviously tell that the Gibbs cars were going to be strong, and the Penske cars, because Hamlin, Truex, Logano, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, they were all up in the top 5, top 10 in the first stage and looking very strong, as we both predicted with our picks, with all of them basically being Team Penske or JGR picks, with the exception of my sleeper pick. But anyways, moving on, in the second stage, there was a caution for Ryan Newman. He got spun by Austin Cindric, who made his third start this week at Richmond. And Newman kind of came down, and Cindric was there, and they made contact, and Newman spun. And that brought out a very interesting caution, because there were a bunch of cars that were a lap down, because it was right at the end of green flag pit stops, and Brad Keselowski stayed out, and he was in the lead. And for some reason, he decided to stay out, and so did Ryan Blaney. So they stayed out, and like I don't know what happened. So, or no, they stayed out during the green flag run after that, didn't they? Or did they stay out at... I'm confused. I don't remember exactly when they stayed out, but they stayed out at some point.
They did pit.
Yeah, they pitted there.
I mean, they did pit when the caution came out, and that messed up the whole field.
They pitted there, and then...
But most of the field was a lap down.
They pitted there, and then after that, they ran the rest of Stage 2 green when everybody else pitted. Yeah, I think that's what happened. So, yeah, Brad ended up losing the lead, and then Denny Hamlin made a whole lap up on Brad and lapped him by the end of the stage. So that just shows how crazy tire wear is at Richmond. I personally didn't know it was that bad, like, because I'm usually there at the racetrack, so I don't get to hear the broadcast and everything. So yeah, I didn't know tire wear was that bad, and that shows how pitting definitely helps. So during the race, they were talking about splitting the stage into 3 stops basically, or 2 stops basically, where they usually just split it in half. But like, that definitely makes sense why they do 3 stops now, just because tire wear is so bad there. So moving on, Denny Hamlin would win the second stage as well. And on lap 297, Martin Truex Jr. was busted for a speeding penalty. That hurt under green flag pit stops, so he had to do a pass-through. And then with 57 laps to go, Kyle Busch had a commitment cone violation. I have to give props to Kyle Busch because, like, the first stage or 2 of this race, he was on the radio very unhappy with that car, but they made some very good changes throughout the race, and he did a good job saving that car too, because coming to pit road, he got the brakes a little too hard and got sideways and almost spun out coming to pit road. So good job for him at least saving the car and getting a commitment violation instead of wrecking into the inside wall and ending his day. So good job for him for at least saving the car, but he would have to do a pass-through penalty as well. And what else? So it was Hamlin and Logano and Truex at this point. And then after Truex got that penalty, it was basically Hamlin and Logano at the front of the field for those last 100 laps or so. And Logano made a pass on Hamlin and was pulling away. It was interesting because Logano had a good short run car for a while, and then near the end in those final 50 to 100 laps, he had a really good long run car. So they made some good adjustments for him. And with 20 laps to go, there was a caution for Kevin Harvick. I'm not really sure what happened. He blew a tire, but like the tire came off of the car, so I don't know if it was a mix of that and something else, but his tire came off the car and he spun going into turn 1, backed it into the wall, and set up a very good finish with some pit stops. I'm trying to think who won the race off of pit road. Denny won the race off of pit road, and Logano was second. Alex Bowman was third. So coming to green, Hamlin picked the inside, Logano picked the outside, Bowman picked the inside behind Hamlin, and Bowman came out of nowhere, like literally nowhere. He had a penalty earlier in the race, and I guess somehow made his way back up through the field. He was in the top 5, top 10 before he had that penalty, but Bowman came absolutely out of nowhere, and within the first 5-ish laps of that restart, he passed Logano and passed Hamlin and drove away from him, and I was shocked. Like, my jaw literally dropped, and he came out of nowhere. And Bowman would go on to pull away and win and steal one at Richmond, and I mean steal one, because Hamlin and Logano dominated that race. And so very props to Alex Bowman on killing it on that final restart and getting the win. So Matthew, what do you guys say about the Richmond race?
Overall, I thought it was an average Richmond race. Nothing much happened until the last 20 laps. Martin Truex getting a penalty was a big shocker because that was his first penalty of the season. So yeah, that was an interesting point. And then Kyle Busch almost wrecking on pit road, which I'm not really too happy about myself. Blew an absolutely great run we had. We were top 3 at that point, and he tries to go in pit road too hard, I guess. It's disappointing. I mean, it's 2020 2.0. Like I said again, every time he has a good car, something always happens. It seems like to ruin our run. So doesn't shock me anymore.
At least your driver had a good car, because Chase just did not have a good car all day, and he was outside the top 10 most. He started 3rd, I think, and he fell out of the top 10 quickly, and finished a lap down in 11th, and just he didn't have a good car. And I didn't really expect much out of Hendrick just because that's not their best track. But yeah, at least your driver had a good car and ran well, whereas Chase just kind of did meh for most of the day. So go ahead.
So after that, it was Hamlin Logano bound for the lead, and then Harvick out of nowhere got on the wall. And then next thing you know, Alex Bowman comes out of nowhere and steals one. I mean, that's impressive for sure. Alex Bowman proved me wrong because I was saying earlier how I feel like it was being just a little bit disappointing this season so far because he hasn't really shown up that much as the other three, but he showed up today and he was able to capitalize. But man, Hendrick's been good this season for sure. I mean, you have Byron winning, Larson winning, and Bowman winning. And wait, somebody's missing on that win list. So hold up, that's interesting. Man, that's definitely interesting that the reigning champion is the only one that hasn't won yet for Hendrick. I'm sorry, I had to. I saw some.
Talk about that at all because he should have won that one, but NASCAR had to make a
okay.
Rain. But anyways, I'm not gonna talk about it. Go ahead.
Oh, stop it, stop. Okay, I'm sorry, but yeah, it's definitely impressive by Bowman. It's definitely, how about that? First time the 48's been in victory lane since 2017. And also the first, man, I mean, we all know the 48 from Jimmy Johnson winning. It's weird saying Alex Bowman winning in the 48 now, so that was interesting. Oh, by the way, congratulations for Jimmy Johnson for making his IndyCar debut today. That was on today during the race. Just to give it a shout out there. But overall, I thought it was just an average race. Not really much happened until the last 20 laps, basically. So, yeah, that's Richmond with the Gen 6 cars in a nutshell. Nothing really much happens compared to like the older Gen cars that were racing on that track.
Yeah, I don't really know why it's such clean racing at Richmond. I don't really know why. It's not really much to explain. I mean, it's a short track, but at the same time, it's a lot wider of a track and all of that, so I'm not exactly sure why there isn't a bunch of action as compared to like a Bristol or a Martinsville. But yeah, that's a pretty typical Richmond race. Not too much action, and then occasionally sometimes there's a caution with 20 to go or less than that bunches everybody back up. So, and a lot of cars go a lap down too. There were only 11 cars on the lead lap in the final 50 laps, and then that caution came out and a bunch of drivers took their wave around. But yeah, I don't know, Richmond's just one of those racetracks where not too many cautions. So yeah, it was so funny how before the race started you texted me and you're like, man, Alex Bowman hasn't really showed up this season. And I'm like, well, he's been good. Like, he was good at Martinsville and just had a bad break go his way, and then he comes out and wins. So I found that pretty funny that coincidentally we were talking about Bowman earlier and he shows up and wins out of nowhere. So yeah, very good job for Alex Bowman.
He took it personal.
Yep, he took it personal. He must have heard our talk somehow. But yeah, very, very impressive to see Hendrick Motorsports get a win at a track that they aren't good at. The last time they won there was 2008, I believe, and Jimmy Johnson won that race. So yeah, since then Hendrick Motorsports just has not been that good there, and it's very interesting to see them perform decent, I guess, at that track. I mean, Alex Bowman didn't have the winning car, it seemed like, until the very end of the race, but yeah, it's impressive to see Hendrick come alive here. And I know Kyle Larson didn't really do much and Chase Elliott didn't really do much, but Bowman was up there for pretty much most of the race, so very good job moving forward. And also, I forgot to mention this, but like a bunch of the next tracks that the series is going to the next few weeks are all part of the playoffs too, so it's really important the drivers run well at these next few tracks. Last week they raced at Martinsville, and that's in the playoffs, and Richmond this week, Talladega next week, Darlington, I don't know if that's the week after that or not, but Darlington, Dover, all those tracks are in the playoffs, so very important to run well in these next few weeks to build up to the playoffs and make sure you have a good car and setup and all of that good stuff. So, yeah, Richmond, pretty overall normal Richmond race. I guess we'll hop into our ratings really quick of the race. So, Matthew, what are you going to rate the Richmond race?
Well, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Now, if it wasn't for that ending, I probably would have given it a 6 or even a 5. But I feel like the ending really made up for the rest of the race, in my opinion. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, the ending definitely did make up for it. I probably would have given it like a 4 or a 3, honestly, if there wasn't that caution. if it wasn't for that caution there at the end, just because it was a normal Richmond race. But I'm still gonna give it. I'm still gonna give it a 5 out of 10, honestly. Just because that's pretty much what we expect from Richmond. Honestly, just really a lot of green flag laps, and like the caution there at the end did spice it up a little bit, but that always happens every now and then at Richmond. And very good job for Bowman for making it interesting there at the end, but. Yeah, and like the race, like it was a late race restart, but Bowman kind of passed him and took off, and there wasn't really any close racing there at the end. Like, well, never mind. I'm not gonna bring that race up. Sorry, but anyways, never mind. But yeah, I'm gonna give this race a 5 out of 10 for Richmond, and now we're gonna hop into our fantasy very, very quick. Matthew was able to guess John Hunter Nemechek. That was his pick for the Truck Series, and he ended up winning, so he's able to get 1 more point, and that makes it 4-1. I'm very glad that Denny Hamlin did not win that race, because I would have been screwed if Denny Hamlin won that race. That would have been an extra 3 more points for you, and I would have still been at 1, so very thankful that Denny Hamlin didn't win that race, because I would have been in a very, very deep hole.
Well, you're lucky, Well, you're lucky that Hamlin's not really good when it comes to clutch moments, apparently. I forgot how much he chokes a lot, so should have realized that when I picked him.
Yeah, I'm still confused on why he has the guts to dump Chase Elliott at Martinsville in 2017, but not Joey Logano at Bristol Dirt, or, you know, any other reference.
Can you just stop bringing that up, bro?
But, whatever. It's all good. So yeah,
Matthew keeps bringing that up. Good lord.
So yeah, Matthew has 4 points. I have 1. This next week's gonna be crazy because they're going to Talladega, and it's a long shot. Anybody could win that race as long as you have a car in the field. You almost have a chance of winning. Almost. There's a few exceptions, but yeah, basically there's like 30 drivers that could have a chance of winning that race. Like, look at the Daytona 500. Michael McDowell ended up winning the Daytona 500. So the same thing could happen this week at Talladega. Anybody could win. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Richmond Raceway, always fun for them to go back there, even though we weren't able to go. Talladega next week, like I said. We're going to be posting a predictions video for that. And like I said, we have no idea who we're going to pick to win. So it's going to be a long shot and very, very exciting race coming up with the big one and all of that. So make sure you look out for our video coming out this week, and we will see you guys in the next episode.